And you're very welcome back to episode number 6 of our Ladies Gaelic podcast here on FinalWhistle.ie. Emma Kelly and Fermanagh, Joanne, Doonan join us once again to discuss everything to do with the Lidl Ladies National Football League. We had a frantic round of action all the way down from Division 4 up to Division 1, and plenty of momentum boost for a lot of clubs, and the league tables are looking very interesting as we head into a 2-week break for Divisions 1, 2 and 3, but of course the final round of action in Division 4 to come this weekend as well, but one game to be determined the week after as well. Lots of ups and downs for teams. I know, Joanne, you finally got a win on the board, so you're in much better form this week than when you started last week.
Much better form. It's a lot easier to come on these whenever you know you have something positive to talk about. But yeah, it's finally got over the line, thankfully. And yeah, it's just a pity now we can't roll that momentum into the next game of a 2-week break now. But anyway, we'll hopefully keep it rolling.
Absolutely. I know last week's show we had started with yourself and Emma discussing that Antrim game because Emma had watched it, you'd played it, and it was just like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just move on and talk about something completely different than talking about that game. But we will definitely discuss that game in detail once we talk about everything to do with Division 3. We'll start with Division 1, and the narrative of Division 1 has never been straightforward since the opening round, and the weekend's games have only strengthened that, with the likes of Kildare picking up a win against a Meath team that were, challenging at the top end of the table, and you thought, were they going to be a team that could make a league final this year? But Kildare winning 4-8 to 110, that's bolstered their hopes of surviving in Division 1, and there's going to be plenty of teams now that are going to be under the cosh when we return in 2 weeks' time for action in Division 1. But a very strong performance, Emma, for a Kildare team. They were 2-6 to 4 points ahead at half time, and they just looked very, very strong from the word go.
Yeah, look, as we say, goals win games, and Kildare just seemed to have that hunger and bite that they were going out and they were determined to get a result of some sort against Meath. And like, Meath had a lot of chances at the start, but they kind of just went, you know what it is, we'll soak up this pressure and then we'll hit them on the break. And Radigan was brilliant. And then it was just the way that they pushed on. Like, she scored 5 frees, but she was still available each time to get on the ball. Gillian Wheeler has been very consistent for Kildare, and it just shows that they weren't getting the results at time, but they were building that confidence and consistency at doing the simple things right. And it came to the fore against Meath, who will be disappointed not to get the win. But as I say, goals win games, and Kildare got 4, and that's just the way it goes. But Kildare will be buzzing because it helps them now to jump above a couple of ones that would have been feeling a wee bit more confident at staying up in Division 1.
Yeah, Gillian Wheeler, Maya Doyle, and Anna Priesman and Aoife Renan all bagging goals for the Lily Whites. Look, they looked very impressive, and I think Joanne Mead will be kind of saying, is this a game that they left behind them? They were looking quite strong in the competition to date, looked very, composed, a team that were going to be knocking on the door to say, we want to be up there at the top end of the table and maybe in the last few weeks try and nab a spot in the semi-finals, but might just be kicking themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I think kind of similar to last year, we kind of said that Meath could have been that team that's just quietly working away in the background, no real standout performances, but just chipping away, getting the wins. And maybe it was a wee bit of complacency. I know the neck of me last week to say that, Kildare will be struggling, but obviously they probably haven't been happy with their last few performances that they put out. And I feel like Kildare is definitely a team that really, when their back's against the wall, they really glue together and kind of get a performance like they did at the weekend. And obviously, you have to mention Meath's, sin bins, it's obviously going to affect the game. But sometimes I think when a team gets a sin bin, it nearly gives the team that's down a player a wee kick up the arse and they kind of gel well. Whereas Kildare really punished that, and obviously, like Emma mentioned, like goals win games, but it was a fantastic performance, and maybe that wee bit of ignition, no more than ourselves, to give Kildare that wee bit of boost and wee bit of motivation going into the last few rounds to keep them safe up in Division 1.
But it's very easy to kind of go on that narrative and say, Kildare could have struggled in that game, because when you look at their performances coming into it, Meath were looking better on the form guide with how well they played and in certain scenarios. And unfortunately, Kildare hadn't got that result to date, but obviously they've got it now, and it certainly made the table look that little bit different. But like that was the similar narrative that was said about Cork, that Cork were going to struggle in Division 1 this year, and again, they've answered all their critics. A 112-3-5 win against Waterford down in Park Urin on Saturday. And they just, again, you mentioned a sin bin. Cork got 1-5 to Waterford's 1 point. I think when Waterford were down to 14 players for a period in the game. And that's another big result for them, Emma, in the league standings. I think they've pushed 1 foot in a league final.
Yeah, look, that was a brilliant game to watch. So it was dogged, it was tough. Maeve Daly obviously got sin bin for our ticks, so it was signal for the resistant fouling, and they were punished by it. But at the same time, I think Cork held onto the ball for almost 2 full minutes to run the clock down, and Waterford were coming out with it, and I thought it was a harsh enough free. There wasn't a replay of it, that then when Waterford were attacking, that Cork at the free, and that's how they got to hold on to it. Can't talk today for the 2 minutes. But again, brilliant game. It was end to end, and you just didn't know what way it was going to go. Katie Quirk, again, 3 frees, but she was unreal. She was dragging people to her, and then she was just popping it off out the back door, and they were getting scores. And Emma Cleary was immense. Like, her work rate and doggedness. Anya Terry O'Sullivan come on at half-time, and if you can bring somebody of that caliber off the bench to half-time to steady the ship, she got a good point. But even just her experience and controlling the game, slow it down, let's move it here, let's move it there, and it stood to them. Waterford will be disappointed. As I said, they did have their chances. It was just a really energetic, good game that you didn't know what way it was going to go. And there was times you were just on the edge of the seat going, right, who's going to get it? Who's going to take the chance? What are they going to do? And then they'll play it back out, and you're sitting there for another minute going, right, come on. But it was a really good game, and it was game management, because see if they had took the shot on it was the wrong person, you would be going, why the hell do you shoot? But it was just one of them games that it was to the end and you didn't know. So yeah, brilliant for Cork. Like, Waterford will be got it, but they'll take great learning from that one for the next game.
Yeah, and Cork are really building something, like 4 wins and a draw from their opening 5 games. Like, they're certainly, they might have been a team that were in transition for the last couple of years, but those players you mentioned, the likes of Emma Cleary, obviously we had her on the show a couple of weeks back, like, and she's someone that's taken on that leadership role as the captain and came into the team at such a young age, but has grown and has developed, and a lot of those Cork players are doing that. But as Emma mentioned there, Joanne, like, you do have to, it mightn't be the prettiest thing to look at, but you do have to try and win a game whatever way you can do, and if it is holding the ball up for a lengthy period of time, you just have to do it in the modern game of just trying to see out to get yourself a share of the points.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, I'm probably such a stickler for this. In if one girl is thinking differently to the rest of the girls, it can actually cost you a game. And funny, at the weekend we actually, I think it was nearly 2 minutes, we had to hold the ball off down to just keep that 1 point lead, and we did it. And in my head I was like, please no one try and force a shot here, just keep the fucking ball. Sorry, excuse me, Gordon, but it is one of them things that it honestly, I think that is the difference between a really good player and a great player, is how to see out them games. No one when to slow it down, no one when to go in a fast play, no one when it's your opportunity to take it on or to come back out. But yeah, like, Cork have shown that true and true, that they're really starting to blend that wee bit of experience with the youth. And like, what did 8 different scores. How do you stop that? Like if you're a Waterford team, like, you know, you're not trying to just, you can't double up, you know, you can't drop off anyone. You can't, especially with the 3 up now, you know, you nearly have to go player for player, and you obviously run that risk of the likes of Katie Quirk taking you on 1v1, and you just run that risk of, you know, her getting a score each time. But like Emma said, phenomenal to watch. Like, again, I'm majority of the times watching the highlights of these games, but like I feel like Katie Quirk is one of them players that she makes it look so effortless that you're like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, I could do that. But you know yourself from playing that it's so much harder than she makes it look. But yeah, fantastic. We always knew it was going to be a brilliant game with the top 2 teams. But yeah, it's really probably given that boost to Cork that they can see out really tough games as well. So yeah, very exciting year for them ahead, I reckon.
I think you were on the field of play for a minute there, just trying to think of the calls that you were shouting at your own teammates from the weekend. But yeah, look, Katie Quirk steps up and does what she does best, putting the ball between the uprights, and you know, Cork managed to see it out. And disappointment from the Waterford perspective, because that's 2 games in a row now that they've lost. Obviously to Meath the game prior, and now to a Cork team that are at the top end of the table, and they've drifted out of the top 2 places, so they'd be looking, I suppose, to pick themselves back up now. But fair share of scorers as well, like to go into a game, Emma, and to grab yourself 3 goals and come out in a losing side, like it's tough. It's tough day at the office.
Yeah, but as we said, nobody expected Waterford to be up there in the top 2, and it's about them now just setting those standards, and to score the 3 goals against a Cork team that were clogging up the spaces and were dogged in the tackles is brilliant. They'll be disappointed, but they'll be looking at the next game and going, you know what it is? Results in every division is mental. You don't know. We're going one week, yeah, they're definitely going to win, not a chance in hell. And the next thing you're looking at the results on the Sunday and going, oh shit, where'd that come from? So you don't know what's going to happen, and Waterford will be going, you know what it is, the next team coming, we'll plan for it, we'll go for it, and we'll just take it game by game, because it seems to be that's the way they're doing it. And Cork are just on an upward spiral as well. And if you have the likes of Valerie Mulcahy on your sideline, like that's where Katie Quirk and all those young girls are learning. And we all know what Valerie was able to do back in the day too. So it's kind of, the experience is there on the sideline, and she's obviously bringing it on to all those girls in the pitch. Plus, they're probably looking at her going, we're keeping Valerie happy because this is what she used to do and she's learning here. So it's just about trying to keep the learnings. Cork will be buzzing, but they'll not be looking any further the next game. Waterford will be got it. They'll review it, analyse it. They've the 2 weeks now to look forward to the next game and get a plan in place, and to maybe just get fresh legs, because they are very young. And as we were talking about earlier on before we come on, there's a lot of college football happening and big games coming up. So maybe they just need a wee bit of a rest, because Waterford seem to be a very young team as well as Cork. So there's still plenty to come out of them, both teams, for the championship. It's going to be really good in their the interprovincials down there, the provincial championships. So be interested to see. Kerry won't be looking forward to going up against them. It's like
obviously you had to mention Kerry, and of course defeated again at home, 3rd defeat in a row at the weekend. I wasn't there. I had said it in the group chat on Sunday. I was nowhere near Austin Stack Park, but as one of their coaches said after the game, a much improved performance on the game against Cork. Still disappointed not to get the result, losing 111 to 1-9 against Galway. That's 4 wins in a row now, or 4 wins, should I say, for Galway in the campaign. That's putting themselves in Cork kind of in pole position to make a league final going into the final 2 games. Not confirmed if both of them will be finalists, of course. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But Galway did very well. Kerry, you know, Leanne Cohen did leave the game with a goal and a point. Roisin Leonard only got a point as well. Andrea Trill got 2. So Galway's main scoring threats were not given as much room as they would have liked. But the likes of Hannah Noon did very well. Kate Slevin did very well as well, Joanne. So Galway will be happy to have left Tralee with the points, but were made to work fairly hard by Kerry in the end.
Yeah, it definitely was a very close game, and it's one of those things where I always find like you probably have to find that balance between being patient and taking those opportunities and keep chipping away at the points. And I think Galway just did that so well. And again, like I mentioned with the previous game, the range of scores, like you said, to keep Roisin Leonard to 1 point, you'd be thinking happy bloody days. But then someone else steps up, and it is even just having the confidence that, you know, to not just rely or to not try force that last pass to the so-called shooters, and that girls are able to step up and take their scores. And like, look at the difference. What was it, 2 points in the end up? That is literally just, you know, the two Aoife Malloy and Aoife O'Rourke just stepping up and taking their scores when they get the opportunity. But yeah, I think Kerry is probably disappointed with how their league campaign is going. And look at, again, it's not that I would ever be too worried about Kerry right now, and there's probably a lot of learnings that they can take from these losses, and I often think you do learn a lot quicker, like I mentioned before, from losing than you do from winning. But I think they probably would like to finish off the league campaign with a win there, that they'll hopefully see over the last 2 games maybe.
And a couple of like the younger girls got the got the chance again to perform in the day. Obviously, we see the likes of, you know, the Shifras and the Danielles doing, you know, their bit on the scoring front. Lovely goal from Danielle, and obviously Shifra with her 5 points. But Jan Cohen's goal was just a finisher's instinct. It was Roisin Leonard's shot just blocked down, and she just comes in and gets the vital tap onto the ball to send it into the back of the net. And, you know, it went almost down to the wire. I think Kerry would be disappointed not to have come away with the draw before Galway managed to seal the deal with Kate Slevins free in the closing exchanges. So not the way that Kerry would have liked the league campaign to have gone, to have lost all their home games. Obviously, look, they've 2 games left now, but there's a lot to discuss with the league table, and our man Dublin playing out a 2-11 apiece draw has made the league table just that little bit spicier for who's going to get relegated in these final rounds. It was a game that had everything: penalties, late drama, and both teams have had tough starts to the league campaign, Emma, it has to be said. But from their perspective, look, Armagh could have won it, Dublin could have won it. They'll have to settle for a share of the points in the end. But I don't think neither management team will be too happy that they didn't come away with the 3 points.
Yeah, like as you say, yeah, we'd be glad of the point if you can get a few more results. But if it comes down to the wire, and that's what kind of has bit you in the arse, it's not going to be a good thing either. Like, but look, really good game. It was end to end. There was 3 penalties. I think Dublin had 1, and then Armagh had 2. But again, Armagh had a chance literally at the death to win it, and so there was tried to fist it over the bar, and it dropped into the net when I think there was another Armagh girl coming that if the vision and the call had been there, a left-handed pass would have had it across for a score to nip it at the end. But all in all, it was probably a fair enough result. It could have been going either way. Orlin Nolan, nerves of steel for that last shot to get the equaliser. And like Orla, did you not play centre half back for a bit of was it last year, the year before? And she's scoring 2-8, and you're just going, right, okay, well maybe she was just letting Carla or whoever it was, Hannah Turrell, take her position before that. Now she's stepping up. But look, it's great to see the likes of Carla Rowe and Nolan and that now coming to the fore for Dublin. Whereas we've been saying the whole time, Armagh are getting their experienced girls back, like Kelly Mallon, Aoife McConville was back this week. She missed last week, and she was great. She's a hard runner. She'll run at you. She'll draw the frees. And as I said, both teams will be gutted because that is one result that it could come back to bite one of them in the arse later on. I seen that Greg had been saying like it's early, it's winter football, and like things will be sharpened up by championship, and they're only in Division 2 or Division 1 2 years now. But I think it's just because we expect Armagh to be up there. It's an expectation now of them rather than, oh well, they've only been. So I think it's just the caliber of players that we all know that we kind of have that expectation. But yeah, disappointing for both of them. So now it goes down to the wire of who to play in their last couple of games and who can hopefully sneak a couple of points on the board.
Yeah, I know Kelly Mallon got a 2-4 in the end, 2 goals of which arrived from the penalty spot. Obviously, Orla Nolan with her 2 goals and 8 and 1 goal from the penalty spot. So plenty of ill discipline maybe from both teams coming in to land a couple of scores. Orla Nolan with 7 frees as well. Kelly Mallon got 2 frees. I think Caroline O'Hanlon got 1 free as well. So maybe both teams will look at what they gave away in terms of fouls in that game, Joanne. But look, I think both teams will be happy to at least have coming away with something from a frantic game. Blocking back again for Armagh, getting 2 points. I know Amy was named to start, didn't feature in the end. I'm sure Armagh, with the little bit of a break that we have in play, would love to have her ready for the final 2 games, just to have someone like her to I suppose lead the line. But Dublin again, getting those players that have gotten their start in the league, that maybe the inexperienced names that people don't recognize on their team sheet. It's nice to see them getting a lot more game time and giving games like this to really test themselves now for selection come championship.
100%. Like when is the opportunity to do that if you don't use the league to do that? And I know we mentioned at the start of the league that maybe it was a full-blown new Dublin team, whereas now they seem to be filtering in the likes of Carlow and them girls to kind of, I suppose, blend a wee bit of experience with the youth, and like that kind of can only bring that experience. Like I suppose you can only get it from experience, from playing, that confidence really, and people say about you have to train with the match intensity, but it's nowhere near the same nerves, the pressure, the understanding of how to see games out, the understanding in getting a draw game versus getting a win. So it will do massive it will be positive, for the Dublin young girls that have got their opportunity throughout the league. And like we were saying that you wouldn't be too worried about Dublin, but they probably have left themselves in a pretty sticky situation right now with 2 games remaining. And I do think, and maybe we probably didn't realise at the start, you only get 1 point for the draw. A win is 3 points, so it's a massive difference in the table. So yes, they probably are both happy. Like it probably could have went either way, and they could end up with a loss. But I suppose getting a point out of it's better than nothing. But yeah, it's just getting to the end of that league where you are kind of worrying now, okay, have we done enough to secure ourselves to stay up in Division 1?
And here's how the league table looks, of course, after that frantic round of action. Cork at the top on 13 points, 4 wins and a draw from their opening 5, and Galway, of course, I mentioned, with 4 wins on the board to make it 12 points second place. Waterford in third with 9 points. Then we have Meath in fourth with 6, and Kerry in fifth on 6, and both teams level on score difference at the moment. Kildare in 6th with 4 points, alongside Armagh in 7th and Dublin with 8, all on 4 points. Only score difference separates those 3 teams after the weekend. Moving on into Division 2. And Division 2, a bit like Division 1, has been an absolute minefield, but there again is one team that have been the story of Division 2 so far, and a bit like Cork in Division 1, it's a team that got promoted that maybe people thought would be one of the teams that would be at the bottom end of the table, but a big Ulster Derby win again for Cavan, 2-9 to Monaghan's 1-9 at the weekend after beating Donegal a week prior. It's another big Ulster Derby win for Cavan, and while they conceded a goal early on, they kicked on and led at half time and went through the gears into the second half. And another big performance, Emma, by Cavan. And they have a bit of a break now before they play Tyrone, so they'll be looking to put the foundations in place now to try and get promoted to Division 1.
All right, Cavan haven't looked back at all. They've just come on and they're just going, you know what it is, bring it on, we're coming, that's it, grand. And Ella Sheridan has been unreal for them this year. Like, normally you would have been looking and going, right, where's their scores going to come from, what's going on? And you would maybe have went, oh, well, Ashling's going to be relied upon too much, but Ella has stepped up and she has been brilliant. Niamh Keenahan is another one. Like, she seems to just pop up in all these places and just be there at the right time. But that's the makings of a good forward. The person that you're just going, how are they always there when the ball just drops or in the right position? And it's that game sense. But Cavan are flying, but that was a true Ulster derby. Just watching it, you're going, what? Like there was times that even the commentators going, the referee free or what's going on? Like, it was just mad at times. You were going, what? And the Monaghan keeper, to be fair to her, kept them in it. There was a couple of times that Cavan were coming through, and I don't know how she pulled a couple of saves out of her arse. And then Maeve Monaghan, I think it was, dived on it and flicked it out. And you're just going, unreal. Like, Monaghan as well. Yes, there was a couple of games that you're going, shit, they could be in big diffs here, but they've stepped up. Cora Courtney, as we spoke about last week, came in from the start. She got the goal in the first 2 minutes. Shock horror. It's what Cora does. Like, she pops up and puts pressure on you, right? Okay. But it's as if it's settled Monaghan a wee bit now. So Jennifer Duffy is in there, and her work rate and just her experience in around the middle of the pitch was controlling things, and like the head-to-heads was brilliant. It was open, it was hard hitting, it was physical, it had everything you wanted in an Ulster game, and well, an Derby game, not an Ulster game. But Monaghan at the same time would be going home going, do you know what it is? We've stepped up here. Cavan were the marker in Division 2. We've turned up and we haven't got whitewashed. Each week Monaghan is building and Cavan is just taking it and going, right, that's another team off our back, away we go. And now they're kind of going, right, well, Trone's next. We've 2 weeks, we'll settle down, we'll sort out any injuries we'll have, and we'll plan now for the last couple of games in the league with their eyes set on a final. And I think they've possibly got 1 foot in it already, one more win, and that should be them. So, yeah, it's really interesting. But Monaghan will be confident enough that they're building and they're on the rise, that they should be safe if they continue to bring that in the next couple of games too.
And Orna Kelly,
take that back. If they mess up, it's not my fault.
always have to cover our tracks in the podcast, that's for sure. But Orna Kelly made some great saves in the Monaghan goal, but equally, should I say, who we're going to hear from in a few minutes' time, Evelyn Baugh in the Cavan goal made a fantastic save in the opening half. I know Monaghan had got a goal early on, but she did very well to make sure they didn't get a second one, and had that gone in, we could have been talking about a completely different game. But you mentioned there, Emma, like the influence of Ella Sheridan. Like, we spoke about other forwards that the likes of Aisling Sheridan, you only comes away with a point, and you're thinking, oh, we've kept Aisling Sheridan to a point, happy days. And then Ella Sheridan kicks 1-6. And like, to say she made her senior debut against Mayo at the start of the campaign, Joanne, she's not been one bit phased by making this step up.
No, and it's lovely sometimes, I think, when you do have a big game like that, there can be a wee bit more pressure put on you, but it, like you've mentioned, hasn't seemed to faze her at all. And maybe teams overlook her, maybe teams just probably don't have enough good quality man markers to take out the likes of Aisling Sheridan and Ella Sheridan, maybe, or maybe it's too late before you realise the impact that she's actually having. But no, I definitely think that Cavan, don't get me wrong, probably didn't wanted to run so close to the wire, but I don't think Cavan would have ever underestimated Monaghan, knowing their history and knowing how close the games have always been. Like, regardless of where they sit in the league table, I'd say they knew they were going to be in for a battle. But even the likes of like Shauna Lynch coming off the bench for Cavan as well, like, Cavan still have so much experience, probably still to come back as well into that team. And to see the game out like that, and I always say, those are the type of battles that you really see the true character of girls and true character of the team. And was everybody thinking on the same wavelength? What could we learn from that? Even the second goal opportunity, only that Evelyn did save that. How did we let that happen? Things like that they can really learn and really try and push on for the last 2 rounds. But like Emma said, I feel like Cavan's really put a foothold in for the final already. And Monaghan, yes, will definitely take a lot of confidence from that game, but they probably do need to know more than ourselves, and I keep saying that, probably need to get a few wins on the board to really just keep themselves safe in that Division 2 category.
I was actually mistaken. It was after Cavan had got their second goal that Evelyn had made that save at a crucial moment. But again, it's a big moment. We've spoken about big goalkeeper moments in other games so far in this league campaign, but we're going to hear from the Cavan shot stopper to just get a feeling of what the route has been like in their camp after a very impressive start to Division 2. It's continuing to be a very strong start to Division 2 for Cavan, remaining unbeaten now with 5 games. And Apps delighted to be joined by their goalkeeper, Evelyn Baugh. Look, it's been something, I don't know, did a lot of people expected, Evelyn, at the start of the campaign that we'd be talking about Cavan topping the table, unbeaten? Maybe a lot of people thought, kind of similar to Cork in Division 1, that you might have been one of the contenders to be relegated from Division 2.
Yeah, I don't think we definitely thought that we would be unbeaten, especially after the 5th game. We've a much better record in Division 2 than we did in Division 3. In Division 3, we were unbeaten after the 3rd game. So to move from Division 3 into Division 2, we were looking at Division 2 as preparation for the year ahead, and taking those games in Division 2 as kind of learning blocks in building our team and strengthening ourselves and learning from each game. But to still remain unbeaten with 2 games left against Tyrone and Westmeath and possible promotion, we're definitely in a good place. So, our aim was obviously to finish at a high enough area on the table, but definitely not top of the table. Was not an expectation as such, going from Division 3 straight into Division 2. But yeah, no, really, really enjoying the Division 2 league so far. You're playing against senior teams, the likes of Donegal, Tyrone, Mayo as well, and up against really strong teams as the likes of Monaghan and Tipperary. So it'll definitely stand to us for the year ahead. So we're going well so far, thank God.
But you've had some fantastic results. Obviously started off the campaign with the draw with Mayo, and I suppose ever since then it's kind of been, putting the shoulder to the wheel and getting those results. Sum up the mood in the camp after that win against Donegal. Obviously, a big Ulster performance is great, and obviously then the result against Monaghan at the weekend. 2 from 2 with Ulster games, and now looking at Tyrone as well to come up soon.
Yeah, the first 3 games, even looking back on Mayo as well, that was our first game of the Division 2 campaign up against the senior team straight down from Division 1. That definitely played, we learned a lot from that game, and I think that game really set us up into looking ahead into Division 2, the standard that Division 2 was going to bring. So they were definitely a great challenge to get in the first round. It certainly stood to us against Tipperary, Wexford, and then that when we met Donegal, another senior team, we knew it'd be a tough battle against them, and they're a very defensive team. They have a great structure and a lot of fantastic players. So to come away with a win from there, we're absolutely delighted. And it was one of those days as well. It was a very strong wind, and we had to remain very patient and show a lot of control throughout that game, which a lot of girls really stepped up, including our younger girls and players like that. So yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic to come away with a win from Donegal, and it shows the strength in the Cavan panel. Like, Donegal had their matchups done, and a lot of the Cavan players, but the girls around really stepped up and followed through in the game plan, which was fantastic to see. So and then that brought us into the Monaghan game, which obviously is a great Ulster derby that you're met with, and we're no stranger to playing Monaghan. Met them a few times last year in Ulster and the All-Ireland campaign as well. So they were a really, really tough game. We knew it would be extremely, extremely tough. So we came away with a 3-point win, but we knew Monaghan would be very hungry for a win, especially after, like, the week before they made an incredible comeback against Tipperary, a 13-point deficit, and in 30 minutes they got a draw. So we knew their character within the team that they had. So we certainly knew it was going to go down to the last few minutes of the game, that we'd have to keep working hard and stay determined throughout the game. We did just that to get another 3 points on the board to leave us top of the table, which is great.
Talk to me about the younger players coming in, because obviously there's a lot of experience in that Cavan team, but like Ella Sheridan has just nearly set the world on fire in Division 2. Like, she's just been scoring for fun, and it's great to see a young player come into this setup and just shoot the lights out every week.
Yeah, no, Ella Sheridan is certainly a standout player. Like, she came up from the minor panel last year and into a senior panel, and like, she's unreal. Like, as Shauna Lynch said on it today in another interview, she was saying she was a wise head on young shoulders, and that's exactly what she is. She's a fantastic player, and she came into that first game against Mayo. It was her senior team debut, and she had the responsibility of taking frees, penalties, like in her first game at a senior level, and she just took it in stride, and she was absolutely brilliant. And even the game against Monaghan there, she stepped up, took the penalty and slotted it into the bottom corner, and in a very tight game, not a lot of players would have wanted to take that, including very experienced players. So, we're absolutely delighted to have Ella within our team, and she's playing that centre forward role. Like, she's been with the senior team this year, so Ella Sheridan will certainly be a name that a lot of footballers across Ireland will know now and in years to come, definitely.
And you talk, the Monaghan game had, I suppose, plenty of, momentum swings for both teams. Obviously, they get the goal early on, but you respond and you go in, ahead at half time, and then the second half unfolds the way it does. But does that kind of show maybe where you guys are in the league table is just down to the level-headedness of the squad, that even when you're in those tight and tricky scenarios that we've seen throughout the campaign to date, that you just know how to come out of the right side of it and kind of pull yourselves out of any fire?
Yeah, sorry, you were breaking up there, but I think I got you. The Monaghan game was like extremely tough. Like, we knew that the game in year round 5, I think it was, like, it's that part of the league that could be your kind of make or break, especially where you sit or place at the table. But yeah, we definitely didn't underestimate Monaghan coming into that game, and we just knew we had to work hard and read our matchups right, and we had to know a lot about them, and I'm sure they had their matchups about us as well. But it was a great game of football, right down to the very end. So just come away with a win there, brilliant, and it'll certainly set us up going into another Ulster game against Tyrone, and then the final game against Westmeath also.
I know we've a bit of a break now in place between the game that you would have played at the weekend now all the way to the Tyrone game. I think it's like the 22nd of March. There's a nice little bit of time.
Yeah.
I'm sure with the campaign that you've had under the belt so far, nice to get a break in terms of resting bodies and maybe getting a few players back from any knocks that they've picked up. But maybe at the same time, when you're in form and you're with momentum behind you, maybe you would have liked the game this weekend.
Yeah, no, a break is good. I think a break is definitely welcomed for all the team, all the players. And like that, we do have a few girls with injuries, unfortunately. So giving them the break in that time will certainly be welcomed. They just need another week or two to, rest bodies for everybody, and then for girls with injuries, that extra week or two, we'll hopefully we'll see them come back into the team setup as well. So I think the break is absolutely needed. But if it was next week as well, we'd certainly welcome it with open arms and go down the road to Tyrone and play a good game of football. But looking forward to the break and then counting down the days till we meet Tyrone as well.
I'm sure from your perspective, throughout the campaign, it's kind of just been, we have this game, we're going to focus on this game, we're not going to look ahead to the next game and so on and so forth. I know it's the cliched term, but it is kind of the one that you kind of just pay attention to what's coming up and not focusing ahead. So obviously during the break, you'll be looking ahead to Tyrone and getting yourselves, in as good shape as you can to go into that game and try and remain unbeaten and continue to be at the top end of the table, and then go into that game with Westmeath to see out the campaign and hopefully continue this good form that you've been on. Yeah,
exactly. We're really looking forward to it. So yeah, the 2-week break, we'll reset, reflect on ourselves as a team and where we need to improve on, what we are doing well so far, and all these games that we've played so far are all learning blocks, and we'll certainly analyze ourselves and how we can improve and how we can break down the oppositions with our own strengths and skills and talent that we have in the group. So we'll certainly do that over the 2 weeks. And yeah, definitely just taking it game by game, especially with Division 2, like that's all you can do is look ahead to the next game, focus on that, and just look at each team and think about how can we beat this team that we're meeting next, and put that kind of game plan into training, and then implement that and meet them on the day and hopefully come away with another win, and then for the next game ahead then.
That's it. I thought you'll definitely enjoy the break and enjoy training this evening as well. Evelyn, thanks very much for coming on our Ladies Gaelic podcast this week, and best of luck for the remainder of the campaign this year.
Thank you so much.
Going from there to just an absolute pulsating clash elsewhere between Mayo and Donegal. Donegal coming out 1-point winners, 9 points to 8. Another very close game that Mayo have had in the league campaign to date, Emma, but Jodie McFadden managed to get a couple of vital scores late on for Donegal, and while Mayo battled hard and had a shot for a goal that was taken over the line for a Donegal goal kick, and Aoife Staunton had a last gasp chance to potentially seal a draw. It just didn't go their way. A big boost now for Donegal's promotion chances to get back up to Division 1.
Oh yeah, like Donegal would say against the Tyrone, you were going right, okay, was it a one-off? And then last week against Cavan, and they're building, but they've a great blend of young and the experience now. Roisin Rogers, Blanad McLaughlin adds so much experience in there. Suzanne White, like everybody, like I don't even know what age she is, but it's as if she's been about us forever and she's just at ease, putting them over and stuff. But there was 3 2-pointers in that game. Now, I know there was a strong win, but like Suzanne hit one from a free, Ciara McGarvey's one. You were just going, just ridiculous. Like, you were just going, where did that come from? Like, and it was brilliant. And then it was Sinead Walsh. Now, the umpire had signalled wide, but luckily enough, the referee was behind that one and was like, no, it's a 2-pointer. Otherwise, there would have been war there as well if it, obviously, it didn't matter anyway. But Fiona McHale was immense for Mayo. Tough, heavy conditions. She was up and down the pitch doing what Fiona does, creating the chances, breaking up the dirty ball and going at it. But Donegal will be probably relieved to get back on the winning run. They're building. Evelyn McGinley pulled one out, like mad high catch that you're just going, if she had missed that, it could have went anywhere and did damage, but she had the confidence to get up there and win that, and away she went. Like, she's just old school fullback and will drive out. Unreal. Like, and Ava Caulfield is another young one that she just decides, look, I'm going to go, and that's it, and I'll take a shot. And well, she clearly has confidence in herself, because if she missed it, James would have been down her throat, like, and Joanne knows that. But like, brilliant game, the conditions, madness, and like, Mayo will be gutted. Aoife Staunton, her head was in her hands once she hit that shot, because she must have knew like there was literally going to be the last kick of the game. I don't think she could have had a couple of more steps in to maybe get a bit more of a distance on it. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles at times. Maybe Donegal deserved the wee rub of green, but again, Mayo will take more confidence. Again, they're learning. Diane's learning the team, the players, and she's getting more people in and in. So Mayo will be taking good points from that. Like,
I suppose, Joanne, like, you have to take those chances when you can get them, especially when you're in the final couple of seconds of a game. If you're a forward, getting in those shooting zones, and if there's a breeze behind you or whatever, if you can have a look at the post just to try and get a score to potentially, grab a result in the game, you're just going to have to try and take it.
Without a doubt, of course. Like, that's, what I mentioned before is the difference between probably good and great players. But look, obviously the conditions were shocking. It was a very low scoring affair, and I'm sure it, like the rest of us, those things would be something that will haunt you. Even though, yes, it's only the league game and this should be okay, but it is one of them things that it'll haunt you for the opportunity to win that game or even draw the game. It was very disappointing for her, but again, maybe it's a forward perspective. You can't let them things haunt you. You kind of have to just kind of realize, okay, that didn't work that time. The game wasn't lost in the last kick of the game. I always say, there's so many opportunities before that the game, they could have pushed it on for Mayo, but yeah, I'd say they'll just be disappointed that they had that chance.
Like you talk about, I suppose, like haunting moments. Like, obviously, Tipperary's perspective last week was, how did we blow the lead that we had in this game? And had that 2-pointer been awarded, Monaghan would have come away, with a sensational comeback performance. But from the Tipperary perspective at the weekend, a 8-point win over Westmeath, that's certainly given them the big boost that they can avoid relegation and just try and finish higher up the league table this year. From their perspective, Lauren Cunningham with a goal and 2 points. Very strong performance from her. Heather Spillane and Anna Rose Kennedy with goals as well. So they'll be happy, Emma, to get another win on the board after the debacle last week against Monaghan. Oh
yeah, I'd say they probably come in till the game like winded dogs. They wanted to make up for the mistakes and how they let the game slip away last week. It's any other team probably would be going, what it is, we'll see this out, and they'll be kicking themselves. And the likes of Anna Rose Candy and that, they'll be the standard bearers in there. They'll be going, you know what it is, we need to go and right this wrong. And they did it in a good way. Goals win matches. And Westmeath will be got it. Frank will be got it that they didn't put it up to them a wee bit more. But Tipperary, as I say, if there's nothing worse than a wounded animal coming at you, like, so it's just the way it goes. But Tip will be more confident now and staying up and hopefully building on. Whereas Westmeath will be going back to the drawing board now and saying, like, here, what is actually going on and how can we push here? Like, it just hasn't been a good campaign for them so far.
Yeah, and from, I suppose, the mentality perspective, Joanne, of Tipperary, like with the way last week had developed, like the lead that they had, to then turn around and you come into a dressing room saying, maybe we were lucky to have gotten a point. You look back at that 2-point score at the end. That was it a 2-pointer? Was it not a 2-pointer? We'll take a point and we'll go back to, back to basics and go back this week. But just kind of grabbed the result by the scruff of the neck and just aim to push on. She's just on mute.
Sorry. It can go one of two ways. I always think, you can be coming away from them games like pointing blame at other people, but like Tipperary clearly had looked inwardly and like tried to figure out, right, what actually went wrong. How can we make sure that doesn't happen again? And like, as much as we say goals win games, I know that it didn't necessarily happen for every team this weekend, but Tipperary definitely, took their chances when they got them. And I feel like when you open up teams, like 3 goals is massive nowadays, so like to get that on the scoreboard and get that confidence up is such a difference. And like, again, I think it's just coming to that time of the season where it really is kind of do or die with the relegation battles, and Tipperary really knew that they needed that win. I'm sure Westmeath were having the same chats in their changing room, but Tipperary really, their main players, like you mentioned, like stood up. Anna Rose Kennedy getting that goal, leading from midfield. Like, you need them players to really kind of show the character of your team and kind of see what you're going to do when you actually, it's a must-win game. So yeah, I'd say they're happy that they've done that last weekend and will get confidence from that going forward.
Tyrone managed to get over the line against Wexford, and I say that Wexford, who are at the bottom end of the table, who are struggling at the moment, no points on the board, look very much likely that they're one more result away from being relegated out of the division. But Tyrone winning 4-9 to 3-8 in the end, and in the final 10 minutes they were level at 3-6 apiece before Cara McNamee managed to get a vital goal from the Tyrone perspective and get them over the line in the final few minutes. But another big test, Emma, for the Tyrone character to try and get over the line. But I think Wexford will definitely be disappointed knowing that they could have gotten something out of a game against Tyrone and now go into 2 last games just going, we need something to try and stay up.
Yeah, every game now is coming down to do or die. But Tyrone have kind of got the right players now that they know who to go to that can be the match winner. So as Joanne was talking about, you don't want anybody just coming up and going, here, just give me the ball and I'll have a whack at it. You want to have the right person on the ball and you want to manage and control the game in order to create the right chances. So it's about deciding in that moment, how can we drag them out? How can we get the right person? And Cara McNamee has been really good at getting the goals this year. I think she's been getting possibly one in every game. She's been consistent. She's got confidence, and we know she can finish now. So Tyrone will be confident enough to turn around and say, you know what, Cara, Saoirse, Niamh, we'll get them on the ball. We'll get our key players or goal getters on it, and hopefully that'll keep Wexford at bay. And luckily enough, it did. But like Wexford will be gutted because to score that amount and to still be in the game with like 10, 12 minutes to go, they'll be gutted because it's just about controlling it too. So whenever you're level with the 12 minutes to go, you're looking at the clock going, right, who can we bring off the bench that's going to be a game changer? Who can we get on the ball that is going to slow it down, calm things, and who is going to be disciplined? Because you don't want to be setting on a wrecking ball that's going to give away frees and possibly a reckless sending or whatever, that you're going, right, what can we do? Do we know our squad good enough to see this game out? Tyrone clearly do, because they were able to build on it, see it out, get the right people in the ball. Whereas Wexford seemed to go the other way, and that they just didn't know. Like Aileen Gilroy finished up, I think, with six points. So maybe it could have been her that was maybe the calm head and going, right, let's settle this down, bring the ball into play, keep the ball, go at them at times. But like Tyrone, they'll say it was a blip against Donegal. We'll say that they probably needed to lose to learn from it, because there's no point winning all the time. Wexford will be going now and kicking themselves, because, as we say, every game's vital now, and to get a draw would have been brilliant for them there, because of the way all the results are going. But Tyrone just seems to be settling into their squad and getting used to each other just more and more each week. So they have potential to be pushing on. I know they're senior this year in championship, but here, what have you got to fear?
Absolutely. And like, I know, Joanne, you'll know what way Tyrone are. Like, they're such a very strong team, and look, they're looking at senior football now this year and looking to push on as well. Like, and you know, you mentioned there, like, Cara McNamee gets a goal, Sarka Gormley gets a goal and 4 points, Niamh O'Neill gets a goal and 1, and Aoife Horace with 3 points, and Emer McCanny with a goal as well. So like, they're a very, very strong team, and they're really back in the mix now at the top end of the table, while they haven't, you know, had a result or two go their way. Mainly the one that just is the little asterisk alongside their name, just looking at the league table, a draw and a loss so far from their 5 games. But they're still a very strong team, and they can take an awful lot from this performance.
Oh, without a doubt. Like, I think they're just like building year on year. Like, I think even like Aoife Horace, Niamh O'Neill, you know, Cara McNamee, like all those girls are the same threats that, you know, have been there last year, you know, and they're just, if anything, building on last year and learning how can we even be even more dangerous. And even the likes of Cara McNamee, like, she's only after getting married. She seems to be really settling back into the team really quickly this year, just moving back from Australia, you know, all those things, you know, take a year or two to get your way back into it again. And I don't think have they lost any girls from last year, you know, so that team is really, I suppose, have been training for the last 2 years together, building unity, building that connection. How can they push on from that? And like Emma said, sometimes I think a loss this time of year does no harm. Like, it does give you get that wee wake up call that you're not invincible, and that, you know, again, wins can, like, I suppose, like, smooth over cracks that, you know, that need to be looked at some point, you know. So having that loss this early in the season is probably a good thing for Tyrone. And like Emma said, there's probably not a whole pile to really fear. Yes, they probably will need to iron out those cracks, but yeah, it's a exciting year for Tyrone. Wexford probably will take a lot of confidence from that, but like you mentioned, maybe relying too heavily on certain key players. But again, to run the likes of Tyrone that close, like, you know, they can take confidence from that, and they just probably need, you know, a few months of kind of building together to really build on that.
Well, here's how the league table looks after the latest round of action in Division 2. Cavan at the top of the table, 4 wins and a draw, 13 points on the board. Donegal second with 12. Tyrone in third with 10 points. Then Mayo in fourth with 8. Tipperary in fifth on 7. Monaghan in sixth with 4 points. Wexford are bottom of the table with no points in 8th. And then Westmeath in 7th spot, just ahead of them in the league standings. Moving on now into Division 3. No better place to start. You've only been waiting since the final whistle sounded on Sunday, Joanne, to have a chat about picking up a win for the first time. We've spoken about the draws and the spray paint below Unleash, but to get a win on the board, and it was a win that we had to really dig deep in. I know Down started very strong. You managed to go back, I think it was at the end of the third quarter, you managed to level it, and then Emer Fitzpatrick hit the back of the net, and then Anya McCarney managed to hit the back of the net from yourself, and you went in at the break, a point up. Then Down hit back, and then you had to weather a storm to see it out. But very happy to finally get a win on the board, no doubt.
Very happy, yes. No, it was a very good team performance, I have to say. Like Anya McCarney you mentioned there, we Ellie Corrigan, actually the game got moved about 10 o'clock that morning to her home club, and this was her first senior debut, and she did fantastic, got a point and everything. So our young girls actually really stood up to the mark, actually, on Sunday past. And I think it was like we have played down many times before. We know the threat that they are, and we probably did, really focus on their key players, like Emma Fitzpatrick. She is phenomenal. Her first goal was honestly horrendous, to be honest. Like, it should never have went in. But just moving on from that, her second goal was phenomenal. Like, she's a brilliant player. But we did really well on Leisha Duffy, Megan Doherty, trying to nullify them girls. Again, still massive impact on the game, don't get me wrong, but to try to keep them at least scoreless, it was really a big target for us. But yeah, look, girls stood up all over the place, tried to just keep chipping away at the points. It was definitely one of those games that I was glad to hear the final whistle, and it was just, yeah, it was honestly just good to get the win. And I suppose that feeling after, it does make such a difference to the mood in camp, and it was a lot easier going home after that game. But maybe it's just we need a few home games now to settle us out from the season.
Did you get washed though?
I got a good hot shower afterwards, thankfully. From Anna, we don't scrounge on the showers here, so we're fine.
Another dig at last week's debacle with the Antrim game. But I was just about to make a terrible joke there and say, you said you were delighted to hear the final whistle. I was like, sure, we always hear your final whistle. So it's always
at least Fermanagh gave down the right postcode for where they were going when the game changed.
I know. Well, speaking of, I was glad Roscommon beat Laois too, so Roscommon would be glad to rectify that after the week before anyway.
But from your own perspective as well, Joanne, like, Down started the second half very strongly, and in the blink of an eye it goes from a 1-4 to 1-3 game to 2-5 to 1-4 game in favor of Down. So kind of what was going through your own heads kind of in that final quarter, just to kind of steady the ship?
Honestly, I feel like we're quite used to conceding goals, so I actually think we're not one of them teams that actually panics when a goal goes in. We kind of know that we've got a lead back after being a goal down, But yeah, look, they did have a good wee purple patch, and look, it was something that we needed to focus on, was our second half performances. But probably from myself, probably just need to realize that, look, sometimes you need to just get your hands on the ball, and maybe playing a wee bit higher up the field helped me do that and helped me stay involved in the game. And again, we honestly just kept running at them. Massive impact from the bench. Kieran McGarrigle came on, Sarah Britton came on, really good subs that just kind of energized us when we really needed it, and just kind of having that wee bit of composure, really, not just to force the goals like I definitely did in the first half. Just kind of that final pass, thinking we need to get a goal when really we just need to chip away points, and I think we did rectify that the second half, and it just worked for us. And yeah, just probably did have a goal opportunity later on that was missed, but again, we can take confidence from that maybe it was more than just a 1 point game. But I'm sure Darren can argue otherwise, but we were just glad to see the game out. I think it was the longest, probably 2 minutes of my life, trying to keep the ball and just wait for the ref to blow it up. So yeah, just great to see it out.
The dark arts of the game, just to do anything to get those 3 points on the board. But as you mentioned there, of course, Roscommon winning 4-4 to 12 points against Laois. Another big result, Emma, in the table. Roscommon have kept themselves in contention for promotion and to make a league final as well. But for Laois, down in the relegation zone, they're going to want a big turnaround in their last 2 games, and they're not against easy opponents either.
Yeah, I think they have to travel the last 2 games as well, which isn't good. If they have to come up to Antrim, they might. It'll be a track and a half. They'll probably have to stay over and whatever. But look, Laois will be got it. Like, they kept them to 4 points, but it was 4 silly goals, 1 penalty, 1 basically, well, 2 straight away in the second half that 1 lobbed the keeper. And like, from a keeper's point of view, they'll be got it. And then Roscommon turn over the kick out and score another goal. So literally it just completely turned in its head. But Laois had their chances as well for goals, and Helena Cummins saved them. 2 point-blank saves that you're going, there's plenty of time, take your points and the goals will come. They were trying to force it near enough too much, thinking we need a goal, we need a goal, we need a goal. Whereas if they had took them 2 points, it would have like calmed it down, and it would have built a bit of confidence, and maybe then an next turnover and things like that. So I think Laois are probably going into panic zone on the pitch instead of calm it. And like, that's always the same with me anyway. Take your points and the goals will come. Don't be trying to force it. Like, shooting straight at a keeper is, or giving the keeper a save, it's just giving them confidence. It's not actually helping your own team. Like, so Laois will be got it to keep the score, I'm saying, is low, but the 4 points was very good, and to score 12 for them was brilliant. But like, that's, as we come back, goals win games, and just silly mistakes there from discipline and composure. It just bit them in the arse there, and they do have 2 massive games coming up. And look, they've a 2-week break. Maybe they'll get a couple of players back. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in some of the teams, but Louth and Antrim are 2 teams that you probably would have preferred to play in your first couple of games to get it over and done with, rather than relying on beating some of them to try and stay up. Whereas Roscommon will be going, you know what, like, we've won it, we'll reset. It wasn't the prettiest, and we probably got a bit of luck there, but like, we got the points on the board, and we'll look at the next game, and maybe we'll get a few more points on the board that way, like, as in scores. But yeah, Laois will be under the cosh now.
Yeah, and from when we come back, they're away to them, and then they have an away trip to Louth the following week, so not easy in the slightest. Roscommon will be delighted, though, Joanne, to get a result on the board. And you know, Cueva Lennon with 2-1, Aisling Hanley with a goal in the point, and Rachel Fitzmaurice grabbing their other goal in the game. While, 4 points on the board, as Emma said, 4 goals and confidence boosting performances for some of their players as well. And look, you've seen what Roscommon are capable of. They're a very tough team, and going into the final 2 games now might just give them that bit of confidence to make a league decider.
Without a doubt, like, and I feel like they have the experience in that forward line to know when to take those goal opportunities, and they certainly did that at the weekend. And maybe after last weekend that they were probably annoyed how the game even started, never mind finished. And again, sometimes that, you know, fire in the belly after that kind of, I suppose, inverted comma, injustice, sometimes that you can create a scenario around that, and it can be motivation. I know we've definitely done it before, and I would certainly be doing it if I was Roscommon, to use it to kind of really drive them on, you know, for the last few rounds. And I know we mentioned we bumped into a few of them in the Apple Green the way home after our Antrim game and their Down game, and they were certainly thinking, you know, that it was certainly a closer game than they had anticipated. So look, they'll only be but delighted to get the win on the board. And look, at, like you mentioned, they're sitting in a very nice position. You know, there's still two league games to go. That again, you know, yes, tough, and I always say winnable games. And then look at, like Emma mentioned earlier, we could come back next week and it could be a completely different story. But Roscommon will be looking at the next 2 games as winnable games. So it is something that they can only take confidence from, and I suppose they've really shown how dangerous they can be up against a tough Laois defence. I know from playing them.
You definitely weren't giving out in that Apple Green when you met them anyway, that's for sure. But looking to the all-Munster clash down in Limerick between Limerick and Clare. Limerick, very strong performance from them, but unfortunately they suffered a 112 to 1-8 defeat. Definitely the best performance that we've seen from Limerick to date in the league. They're growing, they're developing, and it took until think it was the end of the third quarter where Clare got a free for a breach, and it was the first time that they had led in the game, and they managed to build on a bit of a lead and take it from there. Chloe Maloney with a goal and 4 points in the finish for the Clare perspective. So they'll be happy, Emma. It's 2 wins on the board now in succession for them. Moves them that little bit clear of the drop zone going into the final 2 games, and maybe after a turbulent start to the league, they've just started to find their groove.
Yeah, look, it's in their hands now. The next couple of games are crucial for near enough every single team in the division, one way or the other. But look, we all know Clare have a brilliant setup and squad available. It's just getting the right people all at one go. As we said before, they've lost a few girls from over the last couple of years, the experienced girls like who could replace Fidel and Mannion. Like, if anybody lost that, like it's hard to do. So like you're trying to find the right people now. Like Chloe Maloney is leading the ship, and she's still leading by example, but she needs help around her. So it's getting the right people around her to learn of her. But all in all, the whole squad's still learning. So you know yourself, right? What way does Chloe want the ball? But now you have to learn, right? Well, where does Lauren want the ball? Where does Teresa want the ball? Leah and all them. And so it's kind of just getting all the wee bits of glue together, the jigsaw, and it's starting now to mold a wee bit. So hopefully in the next couple of games they'll continue to mix and mold and get the results on the board, because we all know Clare will no doubt want to go down to Division 4. Nobody will want to go down there anyway. But it's just more, they have the ability to stay up. It's in their hands. What can they do about it? But Limerick have been getting better. They had a couple of really big defeats, but they'll take great confidence from that. As we've always been saying, they're a very young squad. The manager kind of left, and there have new people in and whatever. So it takes a while to mold, but Limerick will take great confidence, because it's all right saying, yeah, Clare haven't been getting results, but they're still a good team. So yeah, great for Clare, but the next couple of games are crucial in their escape.
And can be said for Limerick as well. Look, they're mathematically they can still stay up. They just need to get the results, and obviously they've down and Fermanagh in their last 2 games. But you've seen them playing Limerick in the league. Like, Limerick are a very tough team, but like Clare, they've lost some very, very big players in their squad, and there's players that they'll hope to get back into the panel once championship kicks off. But I think they can take an awful lot from the game against Clare. I know the weather was absolutely shocking for the whole game, and both sides struggled with it on the day, but I think Limerick can take a lot from it. Their youngsters are starting to gel and just fight for the jersey, and it was still a very good performance against a Clare team despite the result.
Yeah, I definitely think that they can take a lot of confidence from that. Like Emma said, like losing some of your main experience, like stalwarts, I just think people, unless I suppose you're used to playing on team sport, do you realise the impact like even 1 or 2 players can make? It's a ripple for the whole team. Who's going to now talk, who's going to lead, who's going to actually lead by example. It's a massive ship. Never mind losing manager. It's a kick in the teeth for any team, like, to lose a manager, especially the week of a league game. So Limerick can definitely take great pride that they are going in the right direction. I would be conscious now, a lot of their scores did come from free, so you'd be kind of thinking, was it Clare's ill-discipline, or was it Limerick just doing what they are known for doing and running at times? So it is something that they can take pride in, and I'm sure Clare probably weren't happy with the performance, especially after the win last week. I know they did get the win, but maybe it was a wee bit of complacency. Maybe they thought that Limerick haven't been going well, but I'm sure they know from playing them several times, no more than the Ulster teams, that they've been used to coming against each other and knowing it's going to be a tough battle. But unlike you, I'm going to say I really hope they don't switch it on for the last 2 games, Limerick or Clare. So
Who's away and who's home? Do you have to travel, Joanne, or are you at home?
We're home the last 2 games, actually, yeah.
See, I think that's a big difference too. So it's whether Limerick are good at travelling, because if they have to come up to both Down and Fermanagh, it's 2 long jaunts. Like, but again, they're young pups, so
Yeah.
like it mightn't phase them, whereas it could phase other teams. It just depends. Like, so it could play a factor as well. Who's home and who's away.
They have to go up to Down, so hopefully they'll have the right air code on the way up. That's for sure, to find the right venue. We're sorry to anyone from Limerick or Down that has listened to the last couple of seconds there. We have to make jokes in some regards to lighten the mood in certain aspects of it. But we've spoken about, Division 1 has had a team that's gone unbeaten, Division 2 is a team that's gone unbeaten, and Division 3 has a team that's gone unbeaten, and that is, of course, Louth. Front runners now in the division by a couple of points after a phenomenal 15-6 win over Antrim at the weekend. Antrim missing a couple of key players, Emma, but Louth will be very happy with the way they played, and a nice little spread of scorers from the likes of Aoife Halligan and Anya Breen getting 2 points each, to Sophie Everett getting 4, Emer Byrne getting 2, and Zara Sweeney and a couple of other players as well chipping in with scores. It was a very team orientated performance from Louth.
Yeah, look, they scored 12 of their 15 from play as well, so it just shows that they're creative and they're patient and they have the shooters there. And because of such a wide range, it's hard for any team to try and say, right, well, we're going to man-mark this guard, we're going to man-mark that guard. So it's kind of, if everybody's capable, you can't really shut them down. Yep, Antrim were missing Lara and Anne Maholland on Tuberty. But at the same time, they should still have a squad there to bring people in to kind of stand up and be counted for. Any team missing them 3 guards, yeah, they're big losses. But if you want to be pushing on, like if Anne is leaving in May to go to Australia, you need to have somebody there that's capable of stepping in. And the same with, I'm not sure how bad Anya's injury is. Lara should be back in a couple of weeks, but you needed to have that depth of squad to be able to replace the girls if something did go wrong. But look, Louth will be buzzing to be top 1 foot basically in the final there. Again, Antrim play Laois Down still, so 2 massive games. Down obviously lost to Fermanagh as well, so it could go down to the wire in the head-to-head there between Down and Antrim to who goes through, depending on the next couple of results. But exciting at the end. Antrim, I got some feedback anyway, and I think that hit maybe 12 or 13 wides again, so their efficiency in front of goals has been disappointing. It was the same in the Roscommon game that hit so many wides too. So as we said, if once they're coming up against them stronger teams, they need to be more efficient in front of the goal, and clearly it didn't work out for them there at the weekend. But Louth will be, like, everybody was going, who's going to replace Kate? And it's not saying Kate is an easy person to replace. It's a bit like Clare's Fidelma. And there's girls coming in there and they're rotating them around and they're fighting for that position. And that's what you want. You want a squad that has the depth that you're going, do you know what it is? I'm going to step up here at training and I'm going to get a chance. So the intensity and work rate is there at the training, and they're pushing on. And it's good to see Louth too, because they were one of them teams that were stuck down in Division 4 for ages, and they've got up to Division 3 the past couple of years, and they've been consistent. So it's good to see them getting the next step to try and push on to promotion up to Division 2. But Antrim, the season's not over for them. They'll review that and they'll push on, and they'll hope to right the wrongs against Laois and Down.
Yeah, I know they were down, was 11 points to 2 at half time, and did a great chance for a goal in the second half. I think it was Brona Devlin that had a shot, and Rebecca Lamfagan managed to pull off an incredible save. And I think, if I'm right in saying it, that's her 4th clean sheet in 5 games now in Division 3, which is a very, very tough Division 3, yet Louth don't
Linda
concede
Martin
goals.
is goalkeeping coach in there. Do we give her any credit? No.
Well, you've name dropped her, so
Well,
work
send
away.
me the 20 quid, Linda.
But I think Rebecca, like last year, she was phenomenal for Louth in the junior championship, and it's definitely a key component in them winning the All-Ireland series, and now look, they're up to intermediate, but they've done very, very well so far in the league. So I suppose, Joanne, if you have a team that don't like conceding goals and have a goalkeeper that's had 4 out of 5 shutouts so far in the league, it's going to be very hard for a team like Antrim, who've got serious goal threat and have been scoring goals for fun in the league so far, to come up and to leave with only a handful of points to show for it.
Yeah, it's a massive achievement for Louth, like, and even when we were prepping for Down, we've seen some footage for them playing Down, and they're very defensively set up. I again, no more than what we mentioned about the Tyrone team really sticking together and pushing on this year. That, like Emma mentioned, of course, Cape Flood's a massive loss, but the rest of that team has really gelled together and like have been training together for the last few years, and are really, I suppose, sticking the finger up to the doubters. And I know we were even, Anya Breen gave us a wee touch last year about maybe putting them in as the underdogs for the All-Ireland, but they've really shown why they can be up in intermediate and why they can push on in Division 3 to get up to Division 2 this year. And a credit to them that they really have the talent and I suppose the depth, as Emma mentioned, in their panel to replace the likes of Cape Flood and push on. But yeah, they're definitely a team that are gonna be one to watch out for this year, I reckon.
Yeah, that really came to bite us back in the arse, didn't it? Saying that Antrim were
What's
going to be
up to Anya now?
Yeah, she made sure to tell me that right after the All-Ireland final that year. I'll tell you that. But I know, look, Louth are a very, very strong team. You look at the league table now, and it shows that they're sitting on 13 points at the top of the table. Antrim in second place on 10, now tied with Down in third with a score difference, scores keeping them separated at the moment. Roscommon in fourth on 8 points, Clare in fifth on 6, then Fermanagh in 6 on 5 points outside of the relegation zone, and Laois drop in there into 7th spot on 4, and bottom of the table we have Limerick with no points on the board so far after their opening 5 games of the campaign. That brings us all the way into Division 4, and obviously we'll have the final round of Division 4 this weekend, but Carlow and Leitrim have ran away with things to date. They continued their unbeaten stretches at the weekend, so they have confirmed their semi-final places. Of course, they play each other now this weekend. Leitrim with a 2-12 to 3-8 win over Derry, and Emma, it's Derry's best performance, I think, of the league to date. Leitrim did not have it their own way, had to really rally a storm to try and get over the line. Credit Michelle Guckian, who kicked two pointers in a blustery second half, and they got a big couple of goals as well in the game, the likes of Murren Devaney getting a goal there, and Leitrim had to really dig deep in this game, so I think they'll be happy to have left Derry with the 3 points, but Derry will definitely be kicking themselves not to have gotten something out of this one.
Yeah, weather in the storm is the right word. My man and niece were at it, and the phone call I got was, Jesus, it's bloody freezing up here. The wind was blowing every direction. I didn't know what way it was going. So Derry obviously had the wind in the first half, and then Michelle just knew that she would have the distance with the wind backing her in the second half. But Derry didn't give up, and they'll take great confidence from it. Because, like I'd said, I was just like, geez, that could be a complete one-sided game. Like it, I don't know. But Derry went out and just said, you know what it is? You've came here the whole way, didn't give them. We're just going to go and give it a rattle. And they're starting to build a bit of confidence. So I think they're just going out. You know what it is? With junior championship coming up, and that's what we're focusing on. We're going to try and get the right setups and the right people in the right positions, and we'll go at it, because see if you're going to try and get a setup right, who else would you want to try and do it against? Leitrim. and to keep them till the 2 goals when they've been firing all cylinders. The 12 points, obviously, majority of them came from Michelle just swinging her bit on it for the 2 pointers. But look, Derry will be gutted that they didn't get it away, because there was no scoreboard up, and I was able to say to her, "Oh, they only lost by a point," and she's like, "Only a point?" And she's like, "Oh Jesus, they'll be going with it." And I was just like, "Well, it's the way it goes." But Leitrim at the same time knew to push on and to see the game out. But that's a game that could stand to Leitrim. Obviously going into the Carlow game and semi-finals, final, and so on. But Derry will take confidence from it. But Ma wasn't best pleased.
Obviously, Derry had started the brighter before Rachel McIntyre got the first goal for Leitrim to kind of drag them back into things, and then the second half, they just kind of got the scores, and Michelle Guckian's 2-pointers, and obviously, as I mentioned, Myrne Devaney's goal had cancelled out one that Derry got, and you say, Annie Auckland gets a goal and 5 points, including a 2-pointer as well. Anya McAllister and Clodagh Moore with the other 2 goals from the Derry perspective. So, Joanne, they can take an awful lot from it, but look, they are out of the race to try and make a semi-final as a result of this. So, Leitrim happy, well tested. Now it's going to be kind of a shadow boxing experience against Carlow this weekend, because Sligo look likely to finish third, so neither team will want to finish second to have to play them in the semi-final.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting how you play this out from a manager's perspective. You're safe, I suppose, if you're Leitrim Carlow, but like you said, do you want to finish first or second? And it's going to be like, you don't want to show your hand. You could end up playing each other in the final. It is a tricky one, but I always say the semi-finals are the finals, because obviously the promotion, of course you want to win the final, but you have to get to the final to confirm you're getting promoted. So it is nearly such a tactical thing about who you get in the semi-final. But then, regardless of that, and as we've learned in previous years, sometimes it doesn't bloody matter. Third and fourth are still going to be hard, So I think sometimes do you try and, I think I would personally be like, look, at this might be just a dead rubber game. The semi-final is our final, and you're really holding off for it. Again, depending on what way the squad is. If you have a few injuries, I wouldn't be risking it for the game against Carlow if I was Leitrim. But yeah, it's gonna be so. I love this kind of time of year, whenever it's getting down to nitty gritty and seeing what way different managers approach it. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting semi final for the Division 4s. But yeah, this round will be interesting to see.
But both teams have massive squads, so to me, I'd be going, do you know what it is? Let's play all the ones that haven't got much game time and put them up against the whatever they put out and win the game. You still want to win, but give all the other girls game time that they're actually getting proper match time to see what they're capable of, and go, do you know what it is? You're playing for your position in the semi-final next week. Go and show us what you can do. And see, because most of them squads, I'd always said, I would love to have a third of a squad that have a good goalkeeper and have a better goalkeeper, have a good fullback and a better, but they're constant competing, and that's the way it should be. So give the squad a chance and go out and win and let them get them into first place. But as Joanne says, look, semi-final, it doesn't matter who the hell you get. You could end up shitting the bed and not winning it away after maybe beating them by 20 in the league round. So yeah, be interesting to see. But Joanne's the one going, I can't wait the nitty-gritty time. You just wait till 2 weeks' time.
And I'll be laughing then.
Carlow have definitely shown their hand as a very strong team that enjoys scoring. I mean, a 4-13 to 3-point win over Longford definitely is a big statement of intent to come into this game and a confidence booster, while Leitrim will be, delighted to have gotten over the line. Carlow, just from the word go, went to a 22-point win to make it a 6th straight win. And you've, Clean Shea with a goal and 4, Sarah Doyle a goal and 3, and 2 well-taken goals from Megan Townsend. So, Carlow look very strong, Joanne. But, it could be the case that maybe you rest players for this game and you're happy to go down it. But look, I think as long as both teams can get over the line in a semi-final, I don't think they'll care one bit about the final. Obviously, you want a bit of silverware, but as Emma says, you just want to get out of hell one way or the other.
I know. I feel like, look at Leitrim and Carlow were both in it that year, that us and Leitrim were top and us and Leitrim didn't get through. So I think all these teams have enough experience in how horrible a situation it can be, but also how, I suppose, like, your final is your semi-final. Like, yes, of course you want silverware, but the shackles are off come the league final. Like, it is just basically playing for the cup. But it is definitely Carlow. I find this time of year very interesting because you want to build confidence in those girls before a semi-final performance. So, do you build that confidence? And like, look at Cleanan O'Shea, like, you can't argue that she's going to be going in very confident that, all the forwards are clicking well. They've such a range of forwards. They're really racking up scores versus like Leitrim coming off that performance. I know they didn't play some of the main girls, but, do they want to go in and just get a real good team performance in before the semi-final to really build that confidence and build that momentum going into it? It depends what, I suppose, you prioritise, but yeah, Carlo will be fairly confident going into a semi-final position, I reckon, after that performance against Longford.
And it looks like Sligo have nailed down third spot. I know, look, after you're 6 points behind them, as are Longford, and of course both of them have 6 points to play for to see out the campaign. Of course, their rescheduled game will take place after this round. So from Sligo perspective, look, a win this weekend pretty much signs the deal, and they'll get that if they can defeat Wicklow, who picked up a win of their own at the weekend against Kilkenny, a very strong 127 to no score result. But Sligo beating Offaly is a statement of intent from them as well, winning 2-9 to 1-7. So, Leah Duffy with 4 points, Lauren Normally with a goal or one, Tara Breheny with a point, and then the likes of Sarah Cunny with 2 points, Denise McGrath and Sinead Regan with a point each. So they had a nice spread of scores against a very strong Offaly team, Emma. So if they can get a result this weekend, that'll solidify third spot. And then, of course, we'll have the debacle as to who'll finish fourth, because if Wicklow can get a result out of this, God only knows what will happen then with the likes of Offaly and Longford to see who's gonna nab fourth spot.
Sligo won't be worrying about Offaly and Longford. They're just going to be worrying about themselves now. And they're getting better game on game as well. And they're probably a bit annoyed at getting some of the teams in the first couple of rounds, because if they had got them later on, they have the momentum now and the confidence that they possibly could have ran it closer or maybe beat them. So, nobody will be taking Sligo for granted. They have the players, the ability. They've only come down from Division 3. So, Sligo will be going, Leitrim, Carlow, whoever it may be, they'll get across the line this weekend, and then they will have that zoomed in focus on who are we playing, can we get our matchups right, what went wrong the last time, what can we rectify, and they'll just go for it. And as we said, karma can be a bitch in Division 4, and you could win all around you, and then semi-final can bite you in the hole. Sligo will be going, you know what it is, we're going to come at you, and we'll hopefully bite you in the hole and get into that final and get up again to Division 3. Nothing to fear now. Toys out of the bed and go for it.
Absolutely. Looking at the league table going into this weekend's action. So as we've said, Leitrim and Carlow, top of the pile. They're very much semi-finalists confirmed with 18 points. Sligo look very likely to snatch third spot there in third at the moment with 12. Then, of course, we have Offaly in fourth on 6 points. Then Wicklow in fifth on 6 points. Longford in sixth on 6 points. And then Derry in seventh with 3 points. And Kilkenny bottom of the table with no score on the board so far. The fixtures then for this week: Kilkenny at home to Longford at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Leitrim host Carlow in that top of the table clash at the same time. Offaly take on Derry, and then a half an hour later, Wicklow entertain Sligo at 2:30. So plenty of games down for decision on Sunday, and we'll have a much clearer picture next week as to what's going to be the story of that Offaly and Longford game, if Offaly can get a result this week. Does that put them into the driving seat, or can Longford turn it around? Well, looking at that score difference in play, they'll really need a big result against Kilkenny this weekend to keep themselves in contention. But look, that's all from ourselves this week on our episode number 6 of our Ladies Gaelic podcast. So much to discuss after another breathless weekend of league action. Of course, we've a 2-week break now of actions in Division 1, 2 and 3. So next week it'll all be about Division 4 and to see have the semi-finalists been confirmed, or will we have another energetic weekend with just one game to take place the following week. But we'll enjoy the little bit of a break. I know Joanne will definitely be enjoying it from the playing perspective, and we'll catch you for another episode of our podcast next week. Plenty more to discuss on all Ladies Gaelic football matters here on FinalWhistle.ie. But from myself, Emma and Joanne, we'll catch you next time.